All right, so it is Sunday before Labor Day at noon, and today we're doing a make $100 into $1,000 challenge. So that means I'm gonna buy in for $100 at 1-2, and if I can bump that up high enough, then most likely I'll move to 3-5 and see if we can turn that initial 100 into 1,000. At max, I'm gonna do 8 hours though, so that I can stay fresh and not play horribly. So let's see how it goes. Regardless of how the challenge goes, let me know what you think. Do you like these kinds of things? Do you like just straight up poker better? Or do you like kind of a theme of playing a certain hand or playing a certain way or a challenge like this? Let me know in the comments. I think what I'll do is I'll just keep topping off up to 100 so that for all those hands when I'm not greater than 100 in my stack, I'll just keep topping off to 100 so that way we don't have to just shove all in every time we're down to like 60 or 70 bucks. So that's the plan. That's what we'll do. We'll top off every time we're below 100. Sometimes you can play a full session and not get any premium hands, but about 20 minutes into the challenge, I looked down at kings on the button, 1 black and 1 red. After 2 limpers for 5 each, I raise it up $17 more to 22. Under the gun, sitting in seat number 4 calls, and the other limper folds. Pot's up to $47, and the flop comes 10-8-3 rainbow. No ace in the hole. Beautiful. He checks. I bet 15 bucks, and seat number 4 calls. The pot's up to $77, and I have less than a pot-sized bet left. The turn is a jack of hearts, bringing a flush draw, and possibly bringing in some 2-pair hands. Nevertheless, my plan remains unchanged. I'm all in for $63. And seat 4 calls. The river is another jack. I show my kings. He nods, says nice hand, and shows 4-3 of hearts for a flop bottom pair and a turned flush draw. We double up, and our stack is up to 200 bucks. Let's go. 10 minutes later, our stack is at 187. I'm under the gun +1 with pocket 3s. I don't see merit in raising here. I want to be able to see a flop, so I just limp for 5 bucks. A few other people limp as well, and the small blind, who's been a little bit on the aggressive side, makes it 30 bucks. I call. 3 others call as well, and the flop comes out 10-4-3 with 2 spades. The small blind c-bets for 50 bucks, and given the size of the pot, the spades out there, and the fact that I have bottom set, I decided to just rip it in for 157. At the higher stakes, I don't know if I love this play, but at 1-2-2, I'm okay with just getting it in with bottom set, especially with that flush draw out there. Seat 4 from the previous hand, this time sitting in the low jack, calls, and everyone else folds, including the initial raiser. I ask the poker gods for no more spades, and they deliver. The turn is a 5. The river is another 10. No spades come in. He shows jack 10 off, so he called my all-in with weak top pair. My full house is more than good, and the new stack size is $515. We are making some really good progress quickly. 35 minutes into the challenge, and my stack is halfway there. Ace-10 offsuit from the small blind. We get several limpers, and I could just call, but, playing a mediocre ace from early position offsuit doesn't sound great. So I make it 45 bucks, hoping to take down the dead money. If not, I at least trim down the field. I make it 45 and get called by the big blind and under the gun, and the other limpers scurry away. The pot's at 145, and we go 3 ways out of position to a flop of 8-7-7 rainbow. Out of position on a board that doesn't hit my range well, I decide to check. The big blind checks, and under the gun slides out $45. Both of these players have been pretty tricky, so when the under the gun player bets, I don't think he's betting a 7 here. And then the big blind player says good luck all in when under the gun makes the bet. So I think I've got some solid equity here. If my ace isn't good already, I think both the ace and the 10 are good. If I hit either one of them, I've got some backdoor equity with the 10. So I stick in the $45. And then I soon discover that my assumption about the big blind was wrong, as he check raises to $300. Under the gun folds. I relinquish my cards as well. The big blind shows a 7 before tossing his cards away. We chip down $90 and our stack is under $400 again. Blech. 8-6 of puppy toes. I'm on the big blind. Several people limp. I've got a solid suited gapper. I raise it up to $35 and get called by the cutoff. I like that I'm going heads up. And the flop comes out king 6-3 rainbow. So we've got middle pair. The king is good for my range. So I bet 25, hoping to just take it down, and I get called. The turn is another kings, which is either really good or really bad. I bet 25 again, and he raises to $75. I haven't seen him get out of line. He's an older guy. I don't know if he's got pocket threes for a full house or just one of the two remaining kings, but I can't fold fast enough. We chip down again to $300. So far, so decent. We started out really hot with pocket kings that held up for a double up, and then hit a set of threes on the flop, which also held up for another double up. Got our stack up over 500, but we've chipped down in the last few minutes. Last 45 minutes have not been great. Our stack's around 330, I think, right now, so we're up a couple $100. I think I need to stay at 122 until I get my stack up at least to 550 or 600, and if I get that, then I can move. But so far the table has been good. There's been action. I just need to run a little bit better. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We'll talk soon. I get pocket tens in the low jack and make it 15 to go and get two callers. Pot of $40, and the flop comes 8-6-3 with two hearts. The big blind donk leads for $20, and I'm not really sure where I stand. I've got an overpair, so I make it 65. Seat 4, who's doubled us up twice already, goes all in on the button for 180. The big blind folds, and in the moment I'm thinking, I'm not going to make it to 1,000 by folding overpairs. There's a flush draw out there, a straight draw out there, and I have an overpair against an opponent who's already shown that he overvalues top pair and has doubled me up twice. I don't think about it too long. I call the $115 more, and if we win this one, I'll be bringing in a pot of another $420, and then we'll be ready to move to the 3-5-10 stakes to finish this challenge off. He shows pocket sixes. We miss our two outer on the turn in the river, and we chip way, way down to $121. Ugh. 3 hands later, in the big blind with the suited ace, we find ourselves in a kill pot with 5 people limping for $10 each. Normally out of position, I make this 4x plus the dead money, which is about $80, but I'm not going to put $80 in, leaving myself with 40 behind and then fold. So I either need to just check and see how this flop comes out, and if I get spades, great, or I need to rip it all in. And considering the tilt that I'm in from our downward spiral, I just put all the money in there, hoping to take it down. We get fold, and then get called by a guy with pocket sevens. 9 times out of the 10, somebody calling with pocket sevens will be flipping with me at best. But unfortunately, this is the 1 out of 10 times where he has me absolutely dominated. I need an ace, or I need some spades. The board runs out with 2 jacks, 2 deuces, some other card that's not an ace, and we are felted. Time to rebuy and restart. I pull out another $100 bill, and we are in for a total of $220. Let's hope the second $100 bill is luckier than the first. I'm tilted. There's a limp fest, and I've got Jack 9 on the cutoff. I decide to put $5 in there as well, just hoping to hit something. This is not an optimal play. This should be a fold, but in the moment I'm tilted and I'm in late position, and I just make the choice to call. Of course, the button, who's been one of the trickier players, bumps it up to 17. We get 4 other callers, So I figure it's worth the $12 to stick in the call as well. We go through a flop, which comes out Jack 9 deuce. All right, it wasn't a good play, but we flop 2 pair. It checks around to the initial raiser on the button, and he puts another $17 in. Thank you very much, sir. 2 of the other 3 players call, and the pot is now up to 130. I've only got 80 bucks left. I could just call and hope that somebody leads from out of turn, but I think this is a pretty easy all-in. I'm trying to get called from another jack or maybe a straight draw, but everyone else folds. I guess an extra $63 wasn't worth it for any of those hands. Stack size back up to 210. So I switched seats to get a better view of the LSU Florida State game on the big screen, and my first noteworthy hand in the new seat, I get King of Spades, Queen of Spades from the cutoff. There's a limper, and I bump it up to 22 bucks. 2 people call, so with a pot of about $60 in position, the flop comes Jack 4-3 with 2 spades. We've got a good flush draw, we've got 2 overcards and some backdoor straight equity. I'm definitely betting this one when it checks to me, so I make it $25 and both players call. With a pot up to 135, I've got about 150 left in my stack. The turn is the ace of hearts, which is great for my range and gives me a gutter to go along with my flush draw. I don't think I'm going to win the hand with king high, so when it checks to me, I decide to represent my strength, and if I happen to get called, I've got plenty of outs. I go all in, and early position snap folds. Late position, seat 4, who we've battled a few times with already today, goes deep, and I mean deep into the tank. I'm praying for a fold, and after at least a full minute, seat 4 sighs, flashes queen deuce of hearts for a weaker flush draw and gutter, and folds. I guess we're happy either way here. It's kind of crazy that he called the flop with only the backdoor straight and backdoor flush draws. Nevertheless, we shall take it. A good start to a new seat. Let's hope that continues. And it looks like that momentum's going to continue as we look down at ace-king offsuit. A solid, disciplined player makes it $30. And before I act, I look to my left and see that short stack is about to go all in. He's only got 80 bucks left, and I get a little bit tricky. So I just go ahead and stick in the call, happy that I'll get the chance to come back over the top after the initial raiser calls his all in. So I call 30. Sure enough, the short stack jams for 78, and the initial raiser just calls. I then spring my trap and go all in, and the initial raiser looks super frustrated. He's sitting there sighing. He's obviously not doing this with ace king, so I think I'm ahead. At worst, I'm flipping. He's thinking about it for a while, and for whatever reason, I decide to offer to show one of my 2 cards for $5. Even though the initial raiser is the only player left to act, I don't think I should be doing this since another player is still involved in the hand, even though he's already all in. The initial raiser takes me up on it, pays me $5, and points to the card on my left, which is the king. He shows ace-queen and folds. I show ace-king, and the short stack says that he's way behind. He has king-queen, so we've got a $240 pot, heads up, with our opponent dominated with only 2 outs, and he hits one of those 2 outs with a queen on the turn. A pretty big $240 swing. Normally this isn't a big deal, but this is a little bit disappointing considering our quest to get our stack to $1,000. Perhaps karma struck for me when I showed my card when I probably shouldn't have. Nevertheless, I'm chipping down. Oh, what could have been. Well, we've been here 5 hours now, plus. We're barely up. I got my stack up over 500, like I said, and then I got knocked out. Somebody hit a set on me. Yeah, and then I just chipped down. Losing 1 or 200 at like 3, 5, 10 doesn't hurt at all. Losing 1 or 200 here when I'm literally trying to build my stack from 100 to 1,000 is brutal. Feels like I'm just wasting hours of my life when I chip down, just because I can't add on, right? Beyond 100. That defeats the challenge. Let's hope I run a little bit better here. In a kill pot, one person limps, and I bump it up to 35 on the button with the monster that is 3-4 of spades. Two people call, and the flop comes out king 6-5. The king's good for my range, and 6-5 gives me open-ended, so I'm going for this one. It checks to me. I bet $60, hoping to take it down right away. Seat 9 is in early position, and he was the one who folded ace-queen in that three-way pot and would have taken it down, but he folded because he paid me that $5 to see my king. Shortly after that, his aces got cracked, and he's gone from playing disciplined to just full-on monkey tilt. He's now playing 80% of the hands at least. He calls my $60 flop bet with about 110 behind, and the other opponent folds. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get him to fold out if he has a king, but we're definitely not going to win this hand with 4 high, so we're planning on shoving all in on any turn card, and that comes in ace-7. Bink! He checks, and I go all in, and seat 9 snap calls and flashes 6-5 offsuit. We show the straight, we need to fade 4 outs, and we do so. The river is clean with an ace. He was folding this kind of hand all day, playing with discipline. Then he gets coolered a couple times, misses out on the triple up with ace-queen, and then he goes on tilt, hits the 2 pair, and goes down in flames to the turn straight. We chip up about 230 on this one, but what did you expect? We had 3-4 suited. Of course it was going to win. We've got ace-queen of puppy toes. There's a limper, and then a guy who's been playing way too many hands makes it $20. And I decide to 3-bet with ace-queen of clubs to $70. Short stack goes all in for 86, and I wish I would have seen that coming. Otherwise, I would have done something similar to what I did in a previous hand so that I could have come back over the top with my ace-queen suited, which I think is going to be way out in front most of the time, considering that the initial raiser is just playing way too many hands. Nevertheless, he calls the 86, as do I, so we have a main pot of about 255, and I'm going heads up for a side pot with the guy who just decides he wants to play almost every hand. The flop comes 8-6-5, 2 hearts, and 1 diamond. He checks, and I just detest this flop. I check it back. The turn brings in the ace of hearts, so we've got 3 hearts out there. He checks, and I bet 45 for value, and our opponent calls. The river is the king of hearts, so anybody with a heart in their hand beats my top pair. I don't think I'm going to get value from worse, so when he checks, I decide to check it back. It's showdown time. I show my heartless ace-queen. The guy playing too many hands shows a weaker ace, so we take down the side pot. But short stack, despite not having any hearts either, shows 6-5 of clubs for a flop 2 pair that holds up. We recoup a little bit with a $90 side pot, but still a pretty disappointing result considering we had one player dominated with the higher ace and the other player dominated with the better clubs. We end up playing a few more hours, can't hit the broadside of a barn. We rack our chips, head to the cage, and cash out for the night. Vlog wrap up from this dark dungeon parking lot. But long story short, 7.5 hours. Challenge failed. Challenge failed. But I was in for 220 and I cashed out 375. So I made 20 big ones an hour. Not ideal. Just anytime I got my stack above 400, I just ran bad. And then there were a few times when I got my biggest hands is when I had like $200 or less. So that is what it is. That's 122. I'm glad I didn't lose. And we'll see if we give that one another shot again sometime soon. But that's it for the wrap up from the garage. I don't think he cares, guys. I don't think you're doing a good job intimidating Mr. Buck here. Hey everybody, subscribe here to catch the latest episodes. Also, hit that like button and share these videos with anyone who might enjoy them. Doing that really helps the channel and its goal to support dog shelters, so thanks for watching Poker for Pound Pups, and have a great day.